And we're live. Okay. So I think I finally figured it out in that the way that downtime works is that downtime actions are things your character does that aren't part of the work for the crew.
Gotcha.
So it's like your personal time, what do you do in your time off? It's your pursuing your long-term projects, various things that might be related to something for the crew, but really it's your personal work. Whereas work for the crew, that doesn't count as a downtime action because that's like actively, necessary for the next score.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's how it's supposed to work.
That makes sense.
Anyway, so when last we left off, oh man, a lot happened last time. Okay, before the whole demon situation, you guys wrapped up the canal job. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You wrapped up the canal job mainly by fisticuffs, getting severely injured in the process. Many, many injuries, including a couple very nearly life-threatening ones. You came out of that with the prisoner, having rescued the prisoner. And his name, Mr. Creel. Ventress Keel, a.k.a. Sparrow. You spoke to him, kind of made an ally out of him. But also said, yeah, we're going to let you go because you're going to distract the Bluecoat patrols for us. As that was, I'd say, the main thrust of the purpose of the score. Although you managed to snag a very tidy sum out of it as well. But with the patrols disrupted, we have cleared the clock for the Foghounds coming after you, which was about to tick over. So, with that job done, you spent some time healing. And your entanglement, of course, brought your old friend Karakon back down on your heads with another dark bargain. And this time, it was tempting enough that Suri took him up on it. Her eyes burned out of her head as this fire demon's power took hold, and were replaced with the scalding eyes that match Karakon's own. She has now gained the ability to see people's greatest weakness, as if it were a part of their physical form. But this has certain mechanical implications as well as role-playing ones, but also she finds her gaze. She feels as though someone else is looking out through her eyes along with her. And ever so often, her gaze is diverted against her will, and she finds herself staring at things she did not intend to look at. Nevertheless, You guys have continued. Suri visited the university library in order to get some information about the ghost that she needs to find for the Path of Echoes, the cult that is her source, the greatest source of peace and succor. In that they have tasked her with this. There were also some dramatic developments with Ogre's source of stress relief, his daughter, and the kind of gatekeeper of that, his ex-wife, as she was moving out of their hovel, but has agreed, as Ogre managed to keep the demon of rage that rides his back under control, agreed to allow Ogre to meet at a nearby park with his daughter, Syrah. I think we left things with... After Suri managed to get out with some files, some information from the university library's restricted section, having convinced...
Specifically, a piece of paper that had the actual handwriting of the guy who I'm supposed to try and track down.
Vaintree Kesserin, a.k.a. Bliss. And with that paper in hand, we ended the session last time with you guys leveling up a tier and getting Mr. Raven as your patron.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
You are also, I will note, having done that last job, one tick away from the Unseen confirm you as associates. And also one tick away from the Crows figure out who took their stash. So...
Yeah, but we're not worried about that one.
Okay, then.
Oh, what's the worst that could happen?
I mean, if it's taken them this long to figure it out, they're going to let bygones be bygones.
I mean, at this point, you know, it's almost as much of a punishment for them being stupid as it is anything else. I'm sure they'll also see it that way.
I'm sure they will. And they'll take it as a lesson.
The Dimmer Sisters deciding to eliminate competition has been at one tick for a while, but we were only ticking that one forward when you specifically pissed them off with a score. There are some other clocks of note. The Path of Echoes forgets Suri has been ticking onward whenever Suri relieved stress without having done her assignment. And the Mara takes out coin clock now that Ogre has shared his finances with Mara, his ex-wife. Although that did cause the clock, Mara denies Ogre access to his daughter, one tick back. Okay. So we think that there were some downtime actions still to spend, is that correct?
Just one, I think. Just
thought
Suri's.
she healed. She healed and then drank of the heart-shaped bottle that finished off the rest of her wounds.
Yeah, that was her first downtime action, but I don't think she used a second one.
She used the second one studying. No, wait.
I did.
That was gather information, wasn't it?
Yeah. It became that. I was trying to just do like a study action, but it turned into gather information.
Well, it is directly related to a score, I believe.
Yeah. Well, also, I thought that I needed to start feeding my trauma this turn, but it turns out Corey explained that I don't actually need to like spend time feeding my trauma until next turn. So I was going to spend a downtime action going to the Path of Echoes, but then I realized I didn't have to.
I think we just lost you in roll 20. Oh, you came back. Never mind. All right. So, you have one free downtime action remaining then, Suri. Although, I'd say it's debatable whether the study one counts. It was a bit more than a normal gather information. But I'll still let you have a free one if you want it.
I mean, yeah, I'll take it if you're willing to allow that.
What are you going to use it for?
Why do I have forced stress again?
Did you push yourself?
I think I must have while I was doing my...
Yes, you pushed yourself during the whole study thing.
I'm seeing a sway where you rolled 4 dice, a study where you rolled 2 dice versus 1.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Okay. Right, and I didn't want to accept any of the devil's bargains because they were no bueno. Alright, well, then maybe... Well, I don't really want to go to the Echoes.
If you're not sure what you want to do, I would just like to point out that we are 1 heat away from becoming Wanted Level 2.
That's right. Maybe I will take a reduced heat action.
All right. How will you go about reducing heat?
Well, I would like to use one of my special abilities to put a whisper in the ear of a high-ranking blue coat without him remembering that is what happened, to suggest that perhaps they should look at people other than rare imports for some of the shenanigans that have been happening around town lately.
Interesting. Supported, of course. Oh, mesmerism. When you sway someone, you may cause them to forget that it's happened until they next interact with you. Nice. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I picked it up on my last level.
Alright. So, our camera, as we come into the game, our camera focuses in on Suri, speaking to a sergeant on the Blue Coat Police Force. She's well-dressed like a lady. Well, dressed however you like, really. And a light rain is falling, flashing as it passes by the electric lamps that line the streets in endless rows in every direction. The policeman, as she mesmerizes him, is kind of scratching under his helmet and not taking his eyes off of you as he peers at you in the eternally dim light of Duskfall. So go ahead and make a sway roll. This will be controlled, and the effect will be standard.
Alrighty. Is there a devil's bargain, or I'm just rolling it?
The devil's bargain. Sure. The devil's bargain is that a particular Captain Willits happens to see you speaking to this sergeant.
Well, that makes me sad. You know what? Fuck that guy. I'll take it. He can just fuck off. I'm looking for a good reason to punch him in the face.
Okay. So you're gonna take it?
Oh, motherfucker. Yes, I'm gonna take it.
Oh, no. 1313 forming a 1313 as the first roll of the night.
Alright, so you reduce the heat by 1.
Yeah.
Hey, I did a thing.
Now, you can pay a coin to increase that to 2.
Don't have a lot of coin right now. I spent a whole lot of it, if you'll remember.
I do remember, so don't worry about it.
Actually, I think... What are you looking at, Corey? Because I think that when it's an action roll...
Yeah, I'm looking at page 155, the reduce heat downtime action. Say what your character does to reduce the heat level of the crew and make an action roll. Maybe you consort with your friend who's a blue coat and she arranges for a few incriminating watch reports to disappear, or maybe you command the fear of the local citizens so they're afraid to snitch. Reduce the heat according to result. 1 to 3 is 1 heat, 4 to 5 is 2, 6 is 3, critical is 5.
Radical. Awesome. Of course it's there. It would be. That's the right page. Okay. So, sorry, were you going to pay coin or rep to... We don't have any rep. That you haven't spent.
You have a lot of rep, but you can't improve a result with rep. You can only buy additional actions with rep.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna... that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna pay for it.
You took the devil's bargain. So the sergeant kind of salutes, confused, not quite remembering who it was or what lady's house you represent. And walks off to some other meeting, perhaps re-entering the Bluecoat station nearby to hang out with his buddies. You turn away, not sure if he's going to remember too much of your conversation. And you see a white-haired woman whom you recognize from El Ula's party watching you. She stands stiff and straight in a white uniform, white imperial military uniform, and simply observes.
I give her a little glare as I go past and try to look kind of intimidating.
All right. You glare as you go past to try to look intimidating. You pass by you lose sight of her as you pass by a couple of poor folk fighting over a couple of young teenagers fighting over a scrap of bread, while a couple of bluecoats make bets on who's going to win. Terry Willits. Or Captain, I suppose it would be Captain Willits. Doesn't do anything for now.
Yeah, that clock isn't ominous or anything.
What? Alright, so you reduced heat by 1, leaving you guys at, what, 8 now?
Yeah, 2 shy away from becoming wanted.
Wanted level 2, aren't you wanted level 1?
Yeah, wanted level 2, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
we have 7 heat, it takes 9 to go up a level of wanted.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so would you guys like to spend money or rep for an additional downtime action, or would you like to discuss your next score or do some free play action?
Ogre's ready to go. I'm assuming Suri really wants to get on to her task with Lord Penderin at this point.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I don't want to lose access to my vice.
Okay. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pursue the lead, perhaps talk it over with Ogre, as the rest of the crew seems to be busy?
All right, sure. So, man, okay.
Do you need
So-
to stop and take care of something?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of what exactly I'm like, how I'm gonna find this person. I guess I was kind of hoping that I could figure out how to use his handwriting to like do some kind of a summoning ritual or something. But I was kind of hoping that we would have Dredge for that, but we don't. So I'm gonna have to wing it. You know what I mean?
Well, you can always find perhaps an ally or someone who is willing to assist you in this endeavor, who is not Dredge.
Yes. I don't really have any allies that I know of that have extensive ghost summoning abilities, but do we have someone in our crew?
We used to have someone perfect for that.
Yeah,
Miel,
well,
trafficker.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming Suri and Ogre are discussing this in the lair.
Yeah.
Ogre will just say, "Well, other possibilities. Do you have any ideas of potential haunts that the ghost might have been attracted to? Any places that were important to it in life?"
Well, yes, I mean, he worked extensively on the lightning rail and on the lightning wall. He was absolutely fascinated by it. He was something of a revolutionary, from what I understand, but he was so brilliant that he got a pass on saying things that might have gotten other people in trouble. And finally, there is this courier who he used to deliver messages to the various people he worked with, but it was so many hundreds of years ago. And the courier himself is certainly dead at this point. I don't really know what else I could track down. I have this piece of paper with his handwriting on it. It doesn't seem to contain any clues itself, but I thought maybe having something that he had actually touched could maybe help us find his spirit.
If he spent a great deal of time writing letters to people, does that mean he was a recluse?
Oh no, he was. Well, he doesn't seem to have been extremely social in terms of social events, but he was a very influential political figure and a great player of political games.
I see.
Unfortunately, there is only one person who I think has had direct contact with him, and I'm not sure that I'm quite ready to attempt to contact the Immortal Emperor to ask for his help with this just yet.
Right. That seems like let's call that Plan B.
Yes.
All right, well, we could try looking around the city at some of the various points. I mean, the lightning rail station seems like a good place to check.
Perhaps. Or maybe. Well, the station, but it seems to me perhaps he would be more interested in. Like, maybe a maintenance station, or perhaps where their engineers, not the engineers on the train, you understand, the people who build the lightning rail, but we might be able to find that information at the station and work out from there.
Alternatively, if there's some kind of control center for the lightning wall.
That might be significantly more difficult to access, but you know, we could give it a try.
Well, let's start with the easiest places first.
Yes. All right, so we're going to head to the lightning rail station and see what, if anything, we can figure out.
Okay. Our camera jumps from the light bulb over the table where, in the kind of stained old conference room where Ogre and Suri were making their plans, to Gadok, excuse me, to Gadok Rail Station, where electro rail trains come rumbling and tumbling in on a crackling lightning rail from all across the Imperium, carrying goods, passengers. People are getting off and getting on. This is, of course, in Coleridge. That's not where... yes, that's right. Your family lives in Charhol. I was going to say same region, but different region. The... everything here is just very industrial. You actually see a bunch of workers in wearing these heavy gloves, kind of manhandling this heavy equipment off of a train car, like making this loud metallic clanging, and causing a few poor, dirty-faced children to scatter. They are here, possibly tossing things into the lightning rail to toast them when the conductors aren't looking. Notably, the garrison building of the Imperial military looms over the station on one side. There's a kind of a large, grand central station. I'm waving my arms in the air to emphasize how large and grand it was, but you can't see most of it, as the upper areas aren't really well lit, and it's all covered in soot, really. But there is a tremendous clock that hangs over it all, and in its reflection, you can see the uniforms of the Imperial military soldiers and guards kind of standing at attention at the entrance to the garrison that is really just an extension of the rail station. There are also Imperial military soldiers posted around customs here, as there are people of all different states of dress, from top hats to kind of worker caps to just dirty, greasy, bare hair. As people are getting off and on of various trains. Now, you are not one. You're kind of after you've taken in the rail station, which is always just an impressive sight if you're not used to it, if you haven't been there a lot. You guys are able to kind of cotton on to a group of these workers off to one side of the station at a particular kind of long corrugated metal warehouse that looked to be having some kind of meeting. and you have a pretty good relationship with the Deathlands Scavengers. And these people, with their haunted faces, but grim determination, and perhaps more helpfully, the brightly colored armbands that they wear, marks them as convicts or poor folk working off their debts to society or otherwise by scavenging the Deathlands. And you are aware, because of your relationship, that Sister Thorn, as she is known, is kind of holding court here. A lot of the Deathlands Scavengers they deal with a lot of stress, just like you guys do. And she tells stories. So, here, kind of set slightly away, but with the hustle and bustle of the station still very loud in your ear, you are able to approach this Sister Thorn.
All right, then.
I'll follow your lead.
Now, we'll cut to... That was our montage of you guys arriving, etc., taking in the station, and I'm just checking if I have an image for Sister Thorn. I don't think I do.
Also, we're still in the lair if you're doing
Yeah,
images
no.
elsewhere. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I don't think I have an image for Sister Thorn. But she is an somewhat older lady, but with this razor-sharp face and look about her. In fact, everything about her is razor-sharp. Her eyes, piercing gray ones, as you guys join the circle of listeners who kind of shuffle over, recognizing you slightly. You guys, your gang is kind of on good terms with their gang, due to previous jobs you've pulled, etc. They shuffle over. They make room for rare imports, and Sister Thorn's nails are her old lady's nails are kind of filed to long points, and she's painted them black. She also, but with kind of they're rather elaborate nails, kind of have little white sigils painted on them, kind of similar to some of the ones Dredge has around his protective ghost area of the lair. Oh, I know what I can do. I can take us to our train station. There we go.
Nice.
I guess I can delete all that stuff. Okay. And of course, the knife that the aged Sister Thorn is ever so delicately just paring the very the any kind of errant bits of skin around her nails. And as our camera focuses in, she is saying, "You want to know about someone that worked on the lightning rail, eh?"
Someone who helped design the lightning rail, in fact.
Helped design it. Well, I might be able to help you out. She kind of looks you up and down, the two of you. Of course, it's a bit of a story.
I did a little bit of research into it myself, but I'm sure that you know it much better than I possibly could.
She points with the knife toward a kind of cleared out area across some of the rails where there aren't too many people. It's surrounded by fences. She says, I recall, if I recall correctly, they, when they were building this place and working on it, they were working in the old rail yard.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Before all this was built, she waves her long-nailed fingers in a general sweep around the soot-covered station. Before all of this was built, the industrial rail yard was a center of people's business. In the old yard, now there's only a couple of heavy cargo trains that come daily. Those old cars, they tend to rust in place where they were abandoned. I think that if they were, when they were working on the place, they had a kind of section cordoned off. She looks you up and down and says, "What do you know about this person you're seeking?"
He probably would have been known as Bliss. He was a brilliant engineer who, rumor has it, worked both on this and, let's say, assisted the Immortal Emperor in a way that only the two of them could possibly understand in the building of the Lightning Wall.
The Immortal Emperor, eh? They all, the various people in the circle kind of all, like, reflexively, like, make, like, a religious kind of gesture.
That is what they say. Or rather, what hardly anybody says anymore, but which is known if you know where to look for it.
All right. Go ahead and we're going to make a gather information roll here. Let's just make it a fortune roll. Using your consort as the basis for the number of dice.
That's a 5.
All right, then. She says, Bliss. Ah, that would be the genius, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
Well, everybody said he was having sex with Clinchamps Pritchard.
Oh. Okay.
The courier who would bring packages back and forth. Anyway, they kept it on the down low, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I think I know exactly what you mean.
Of course, maybe that's not why he trusted Pritchard. But that's just what I recall the word was. Few of you fellows know what I'm talking about. And the workers, men and women around the circle, kind of chuckle into their lunches.
Right.
She says, now, Pritchard and Bliss are both dead, as far as I know.
It would be difficult for them not to be by this time.
Indeed. This was all a long time ago. You... The genius. I can't say what happened to him because I don't know. But the Pritchard, he is bound. His spirit was not allowed to run free. He still serves a master, even in the afterlife. A sad fate. I know this because I found the mask that he's bound to in the Deathlands.
I see.
A mask that I found had horns, and I believe
Oh, god damn it.
echoes of people were trapped within it. I never put the mask on myself. These fellows know why. The Deathland scavengers kind of laugh sadly. Now, of course,
I'd like to
could-
just remind the DM that I do have a special ability called like looking into a mirror where I can always tell if someone is lying to me.
She does not seem to be lying.
Alright, just
At least
putting it
so
out there.
far. She says, I found it in the Deathlands. in the ruins of a building that was owned by an occult collector long ago. Ah, yes. That was a good run. That was a good day. I think I got a bit of a taste for the Deathlands after that.
I suppose you would if it was that exciting. Do you have any idea where it is now?
The mask?
Ogre's going to look to Surrey and say, I think both of us know where it is.
I'm just doing my due diligence.
Fair enough.
She says, I think some rich lordling has it now. Probably taken in by the tales of the spirit hunter, what wore it long ago.
Of course. Well, this has been more information than I was able to find in several hours spent in the library. Thank you very much for your help. This is not the
Well, that's
answer.
because you came looking for down-to-earth information, not the sort of thing that's written down in a library. What you fooling around with those written down words for anyway?
It's not a mistake I will make again. All right, well, is there anything else we want to ask her? I mean,
I can point out the building if you want that they used to do their research in.
that would be perfect, thank you.
She gestures with the dagger at a warehouse in the old rail yard across the way.
That might just be the most useful bit of information yet. Thank you.
Sure. You're friends of the scavengers. We remember that.
All right, well, now the question, I mean, I guess we just head over there. Should we go back to the lair and get a spirit mask? Did I bring a spirit mask with me just in case?
I mean, I think we should at least make sure we're well equipped at this point. But yeah, so if we know where they used to do the research, my thought is that we could go to, or we could use our, what's it called? The Ghost Echoes ability to go to the version of the warehouse when they were still there doing the research, to see if his ghost might be hanging out in that area, since we've seen ghosts hanging out in those echoes before.
Interesting. That's a thought. All right, we could try that.
And if he's not there, then we go back to that one lord that we robbed a long time ago, whose name I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. And, maybe if we brought the spirit mask that was owned by his lover, then he would be willing to just calm down a little bit and talk to us. And and I mean, we need to get like ghost busting materials and stuff. Like, and we need our whole like ghost capturing kit. The whole point is to get this guy in a bottle and bring him back.
Right.
All right. All right, so at this point, I think we should decide on like kitting ourselves out and getting prepped because this is gonna be gnarly without Dredge here. I mean, I have like some attunement abilities, but I'm not anywhere near,
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. Although I do have the ability to fight ghosts, so once we do see him, I could pretty reliably, I think, restrain him.
Yeah, but like, I mean, we don't. It would be better if we could just get him to like go in the bottle pretty uh, peacefully. Either if I could persuade him like I did with the other guy, or if we, just got him distracted and like, I don't know, put it on him. I don't really know how it would work, but you know, I would prefer it not to turn to blows if possible. This is a very important and respectable guy. I mean, he
Okay.
science a whole lot, and I would like to turn over a relatively happy ghost to my friends, not an insane, angry, punched ghost.
Fair enough.
Just if possible. We'll that can be plan A2, since we already have a plan.
Fair enough. I'll go in for Bear with the expectation that there will probably be other ghosts who are less interested in talking.
Yes, that if you could run interference, that would be, I think, a big deal.
I can manage that.
Okay. So you guys are, I guess, starting a score.
I think so.
Interesting. All right.
Actually, tell me, Suri, how much do you think that the Path of Echoes would pay for additional ghosts and bottles?
Well, I suppose that depends on the ghosts, but I'm sure that I wouldn't lose any reputation with them if I brought them back more than what they were asking for. At this point, perhaps it would keep them from asking me to do this again for a while. Not that I'm not happy to oblige, but we have a lot on our plate right now.
Naturally, I'm just thinking that we can kill two birds with one stone here. With a bit of help from our new patron, Mr. Raven, we're pretty close to being able to move up a little bit in the world.
Certainly. Yes. I have no doubt that if we manage to catch particularly a somewhat unusual ghost, we might be compensated quite handsomely.
All right, then. Let's see if we can get more than just the one that we're after.
Okay. So, you guys are going to be leaving the large and impressive Gadok Rail Station. You're going to head across the canal to Coleridge and the old rail yard. Well, actually, you're going to prepare for the score. Right? Is that
yes.
my understanding correct? Okay. So I need your load levels, and your approach style.
So Ogre is probably going to go in with light load, and I think our approach, the two that make the most sense to me, and please tell me your thoughts, Suri, but my two thoughts are, it's either occult with the arcane power of using the ghost echoes to get to a position where the ghost is without the ghost having to manifest itself,
Yeah.
or it's social with you using the connection of trying to, or maybe even deception of you trying to basically communicate with the ghost directly, and maybe you try to convince the ghost that the lover is with the path of echoes.
You guys are breaking up a little bit. Is it me, or are you breaking up for each other too?
It's on my end.
Yeah, you're not. You're hardly coming through at all, Corey.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I started getting red bar for some reason.
Weird.
I did too, so I don't know what that was.
Okay. I was just saying that deception might also be a good plan of maybe you can convince the ghost to come with us by convincing it that the lover is in the Path of Echoes.
Yeah, no, I heard.
Okay.
It's definitely a possibility. I kind of like the occult one. I mean, I'm sure that a social aspect will come into it, but I don't really have a very strong existing connection to this ghost. I might be able to figure one out. But I think, especially considering that we know that in life he was very clever and wily, and it might be in our better interest to try to get him on a more even playing field.
Okay. Well, occult definitely makes sense to me. It also makes the most sense for kind of the initial phase of the plan.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're getting to the position where we can talk to the ghost.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay, so if you guys are going for the occult, what is the arcane method?
The ghost echoes. We are not just going into the building they were in, we're going into the version of the building that they worked in at that time.
Oh. So you're going to make it so that the image I had prepped is not going to work. Got it. Alright, let's piss off the DM.
We're already winning.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We took this crazy Ghost Echoes ability. We're getting as much mileage out of it as we possibly can.
You certainly are. You certainly are. Okay. All right. We'll go with this for now. This is some Thief concept art. Alright, now the old rail yard. Very different from the hustle and bustle of Gaddock Rail Station, with its impressive architecture. Is a lot more kind of scrabbled together. There's like some open spaces and some built-up spaces. And there are some areas that have had residential buildings built up around them. It's right in the middle of Coleridge. A across from the night market and the enormous Gaddock Rail station. It's not entirely abandoned. There are, as our camera comes in, you guys are, you guys are slipping into the, place with your occult means at the ready. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Which are what again?
The
It's our Ghost Echo's ability.
Right. So, so instead of the totally cleared out area of the modern place and the residential buildings, the old rail station that you guys enter is full of clouds of coal smoke. Hello there, Kenny. Paranormal resonance frequency indicator activated indeed. There are ghostly trains made physical for you guys, running back and forth along the on the long tracks, or just sitting there. Actually,
I'm having flashbacks to that game.
yeah,
Soul Suspect.
Soul Suspect. So go ahead. Who's gonna roll the engagement roll?
I'll roll it since it's mine, I guess.
Yeah, this one's mostly your job, so your score.
All right. Major advantages and disadvantages.
Right. So one dice just for luck. Then you're going to... interesting. You are going to have... I'm trying to find the dang page
128.
on the cheat sheet.
Oh.
Here we go. This operation is particularly bold or daring. Not particularly. You are going to the old abandoned rail yard, and you're trying to use using occult means to get in. And you're just gonna see, it's almost an exploratory mission in some ways. Or is it? I suppose via flashbacks we could determine that it's not all that exploratory. Plans detail exposes a vulnerability of the target / hits them where they're weakest. Interesting. I'm going to say that nobody, not even ghosts, expects you guys to come in via the ghost of the old rail yard in its heyday. So take +1 for that. Friends or contacts have provided aid or insight. Not really.
We don't get that from the interaction with the Dusk or the Deathland.
She's a contact now.
Okay.
But she wasn't your contact or friend before this.
Alrighty.
The target is a lower tier. Are you guys tier 2 now, or still tier
We are
1?
not. We're still tier 1.
We're still tier 1. This is one of those weird situations where it's not like... I guess the target is a lower tier. +1 for that. District modifiers. Where... Did you say that there was like a place on Roll20 or something where it showed like the district modifiers?
It doesn't show the district modifiers. I was just looking at the map of Duskfall that you gave us, and it shows which district everything is in.
Yeah. The map of Duskfall doesn't show the district modifiers, which is super annoying. Also, like, the district modifiers rarely, if ever, come up. I think they've come up, like, once. What district is this in? Coleridge.
Yeah, you said Coleridge.
Okay. Coleridge.
I mean, could we get a bonus
So you're
die?
in the midst of the factories of Coleridge here. Because the factories of Coleridge operate around the clock, there's no ideal time for clandestine crime here. But foremen are happy to be bribed to take a break or look the other way. Okay. So no district modifiers.
Could we get a +1 die if we both went in with an albatross hanging around our neck?
Absolutely.
Because it's
Because of
Coleridge.
Yeah, I get it.
If I may make a joke that only I think is really, really, really funny.
And the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. If you memorize that, you get a +1. Okay. So you're now in Coleridge. As you enter this region, soot-covered workers hack up black bile as they trudge home from the factories. There's heavy rail cargo being unloaded by crane from older trains still in operation. There are also street-tough waifs running wild. Go ahead. The negatives dice that you to engagement dice you might have. Is the operation overly complex? Not really. Is the target strong against this approach? Not really. No enemies or rivals are interfering. Target is not a higher tier, and there's no district modifiers. So go ahead and make your engagement roll.
I counted 3 dice. Is that what you had?
I think so.
That's what I counted as well. Good luck. Well, it could have been worse.
Certainly could have.
Came very close to being worse.
4 and 5, the most interesting possible result.
I mean, I've certainly done worse before.
Okay. Okay. All right. As our camera pulls into the ghost of the old rail yard, where you guys are creeping in through, and you're crossing over one of the abandoned tracks where in the modern day there's a train engine sitting and rusting away to nothing. In the Ghost Echoes world that you are creeping through, this train engine is running and bearing down on you. Toot toot! At the same time, as you're using the cover of a building that's not there anymore, to, or rather, you know what I mean. There are some factory workers and a foreman, led by a white-helmeted foreman, coming through. If you are to jump out of the... your position is such that if you were to jump out of the Ghost Echoes old rail yard, they are going to see you. You're going to be right next to them.
Well, then we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
What would you like to do?
So what Ogre's going to do... So we've got this train that's bearing down on us.
Yes. And you should look at the images if you haven't seen them, guys.
Yes, I do see them. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the situation. And so so what you're saying is that for us to get out of the way, we're going to have to get into a position where a foreman will see us?
Well, if you're to jump out of the, yes, basically yes.
Okay.
It's a ghost train and a hard place.
Indeed. So, is there a situation where I could perform a feat that verges on the superhuman to get me and Suri out of the way in a more unconventional way? Like, is there something up above that we could get up onto that would still leave us out of the foreman's line of sight, but also get us out of the way of this train?
While staying in the Ghost Echoes?
Yes, we would like to stay in the Ghost Echoes.
Yeah, but it's gonna be risky.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm not really sure what the right role for that would be. Because this is just kind of like raw athletics.
Well, and
maybe
there's a
prowl,
place. Basically, there's a place where you could grab her and with superhuman strength, like leap out of the way of the train, which is about to, plow into a real-world brick wall.
Right. So would that be I'm just trying to think of what role that would be. Would that be like skirmish because it's just kind of relying on fast reflexes? Would it be prowl because I'm trying to avoid the foreman?
I guess if that's what you're trying to do, it probably would be Prowl.
Okay.
There's a couple of different approaches you could take to this, but you're trying to just do something superhuman.
Yeah, I mean, that's
strength-wise.
kind of my main thing, is I'm just using not to be trifled with.
Definitely going to be tough.
to-
You could use, of course, a flashback to help you with this, potentially as well. Well, let me think. I mean, really, you get to pick which physical one you want to use, and then
Yeah,
I'll
I
tell
understand.
you, and then I'll
This
tell
is-
you what the result is.
Yeah, this is just a situation of I'm not really sure what would be appropriate, because it
Okay, so
like,
I'll describe.
just,
I'll
just
describe
jumping
them.
really high essentially is hard
I'll
for
give
me
you.
to say.
I'll
what
give
that
you
would
a.
be.
I'll give you an idea of how I'm going to interpret each one.
Okay, cool.
So finesse would be like being a dancer. You're gonna grab Suri, you're gonna swing her around, and spin around yourself, and you're both just going to kind of rock back, and the ghost train will go screaming past your noses. The prowl would be like, I don't want the people in the real world to see us, and I don't want to get hit by this ghost train, so we're just going to grab Suri and slip past, without kind of being tagged by anything. Skirmish would be like a body check. You're going to, like a football player, just crash into Suri and knock her and out of the way and roll out of it yourself. Wreck would be breaking through like the train. Or I mean that's not really possible, but
Yeah.
Breaking through like a nearby wall, maybe, with Suri in tow.
Okay. Let's go with Prowl, because I don't want to get Suri all beat up right out of the gate. Don't want to be body
Thank
checking
you.
her. So yeah, let's put an emphasis on the stealth here of trying to make sure that we don't get seen by this foreman.
Okay.
And so I'll use not to be trifled with to basically say that we're moving from hiding spot to hiding spot much more quickly than you normally could.
Interesting. Okay. You have... okay, so this will be a risky situation, which was determined by the engagement roll.
Okay.
Prowl in this situation... I think Prowl will be standard effect.
Okay.
Before any modifiers.
All right, and then I'll get +1 die for pushing myself.
Okay.
So would not to be trifled with boosted up to great effect then?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Suri, would you like to assist, or do you want to hold on to your stress for a little while longer?
I'm coming into this with 4 stress, so I think if you think you have this, then I'll hold on.
I've got a reasonable chance of success. We'll try it without.
All right then.
Hey, there's a 6.
Well, that worked.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I accidentally put in 2 extra dice, or it should have only been 1, but the 2 was the last one.
Okay.
If you want me to re-roll it, I can, but
You rolled too many dice?
Yes, I rolled one too many dice.
Well, I guess you still got the 6. We always cut off the last one. That's our policy. When these kinds of mistakes happen.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's understandable. A 6. A 6. Very well done. Suri's had some trouble with rolls, but then the Corey rolls came in. Well, I say she had trouble, but she got the most interesting possible result.
I mean, I've been getting, mediums.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you've not been rolling bad.
Okay. So, Suri, you feel Ogre kind of grasp you and just, with cat-like movements, just dart over the ghost, or over the tracks, and the ghost train goes screaming by, plowing into a real-world brick wall that's there now. And just flying by with the many cars, leaving a trail of ghostly coal smoke. You have managed, as you've gotten out of the way, you've managed to also remain as the brick wall ends, and there was like an old kind of shack here. You've kind of dove into that, and you are currently hidden from view as the workers are kind of heading toward a large warehouse that is belching smoke, and to begin their shift. You find yourselves at the dilapidated remains of the building that Sister Thorn told you about. Of course, in the memory of this place, it's not dilapidated, but is extremely secure, with large corrugated metal walls, roof, double doors, and the like. No windows.
Oh boy.
On this side, anyway.
How much do we care about stealth on the ghost side?
I mean, I don't think that there's likely to be very many ghosts here, but I suppose I don't really know what kind of security they have in the ghost world.
Alright, going in heavy then. And Ogre will pull out some demolition tools
Oh boy.
to basically just kind of bust open the heavy door.
Now, you're doing this in the Ghost Echoes?
Yes. So we're trying to bypass the ancient security that's no longer really there.
Wow. Okay, I guess this is almost certainly going to be a rec roll.
That's kind of what I expected it to be.
Okay. Now, demolition, like, you guys are still going to make noise in the real world.
Well, I guess that's my question: is if a real sledgehammer hits a ghost corrugated steel door, does it make a sound?
So the ability says, From weird experience or occult ritual, all crew members gain the ability to see and interact with the ghostly structures, streets, and objects within the echo of Duskville that exists in the ghost field. Now, that to me doesn't say you can slip into another dimension that where this city exists. That to me that says you can interact with things that are no longer there.
Okay. That's a little different from the way that we've been using it, because we've been using it to, like, go down roads that don't exist and stuff anymore.
Well, see, that's the weird thing about
Yeah.
roads that don't exist, right? Right? Because specifically, if it's like a road that doesn't exist, or a train line that doesn't exist, or something, well, then, you know, if you're moving through a solid wall, right? If you're moving through a solid wall that's there now, where are you? And that's not really well defined. I mean, it's purposefully vague. We get to define it for our own world.
Right.
And I am going to call it as, basically, if you're not, basically it's uncomfortable to be in the other world. And you being a physical being, material human, your tendency for your physical form will be to be in the real world as much as possible. So unless it's impossible, then that's how it works. Now, if you are like, I want to do a flashback and find a alleyway to this warehouse that doesn't exist anymore, well, then that would be different, wouldn't it? Because you could literally end up in a place that is in the middle of a wall. So if people hear a noise, it's going to come from inside a wall.
Okay. I get you. So we interact, or so what you're saying essentially is that we still interact with the ghost things as if they were physical. And so when we hit them, or if I make a loud noise by hitting something, even though that thing isn't real, other people will still hear that sound.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even if they can't see it.
Yeah.
Or even necessarily hear it. But they'll hear the physical objects that you use. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah. That just raises the question of, is it the corrugated metal that's making the noise, or is it the sledgehammer that's making the noise?
Well, if you're literally just using a sledgehammer, then that's one thing. But I interpreted demolition tools as demolition.
So one of the demolition tools listed specifically is a sledgehammer. Like they're not talking about bombs and explosives. They're talking about things for tearing stuff down.
Well, as long as there isn't someone around who can also interact with ghost echoes, who's ghost sensitive in that way, then
so
they would only hear that they would a normal person probably could hear the sound that the sledgehammer makes, but not the sound that the door makes, unless the door is also there in the world.
Okay, that makes sense. So just so you know what they say for the demolition tools, it's a sledgehammer and iron spikes, a heavy drill, and a crowbar.
Gotcha.
So do not be thinking like dynamite and stuff. That's not what this is.
Okay. That is a little misleading, isn't it?
A little bit. So, alright, so with that in mind, I get the feeling that individual loud raps are probably something that is not going to get a whole lot of notice if we're in a factory. You know, it's one thing to bang on corrugated metal. Corrugated metal is super loud if you hit it. But if they're not hearing that side of it, if they're just hearing the singular slam of the sledgehammer, that's probably going to be a very common noise. So I don't think that's going to draw a whole lot of attention.
You can see the real world at the same time. So you can see that there is a door here in the real world as well.
Okay. Is it the same like corrugated metal door, or is it just like
it's just a lot more rusted. And,
gotcha. Okay.
Looks like the lock has broken and it's linked together with chains.
Okay.
But there is quite a lot of noise from the nearby factories.
Yeah. So in that case, could I say that the demolition tools include some bolt cutters that I could use to cut the chain in the real world?
Well, if it's not listed in the demolition tools, you can use a point of load to have bolt cutters.
Okay.
Definitely the kind of thing Ogre would remember to pick up for this kind of job.
Alright, so I will do that, and I will, I'll definitely just take out the chain that's protecting the real world door. And I'm kind of assuming if this is a factory that there's lots of like very repetitive style noises, like whack whack whack, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to try to time my cutting the bolts or cutting the chain to one of those sounds, so in order to minimize other people's ability to hear it.
Okay. What kind of action are you using here?
I'm feeling like wreck makes the most sense.
Okay. Usually wreck is loud and proud, so trying to do it to wreck quietly, or not quietly, but in time with something is maybe going to make it a little bit more challenging.
I'm okay with that.
Not crazy impossible, though. So this position will be controlled, and the effect will be standard.
Okay. Devil's Bargain?
A Devil's Bargain. Sure. The Devil's Bargain is there are two of something inside.
An old classic.
See, the last time I accepted this, we went from there being one hull that was the size of a building to a second hull that was inside the building that also made our lives hell in a lot of ways. So
maybe it's cakes this time. Maybe there's two cakes. Maybe we're both gonna get a cake right now.
That would not be a devil's bargain. That would be an angel's bargain.
It's a devil's food bargain.
Nice.
Ogre's not counting calories, so I think I'm gonna pass on this
Aw.
devil's bargain. So that's a 4.
The most interesting possible result. With a loud ka-tink, the bolt cutters shear through the chain, and it, rattling, its own weight pulls it to the ground. The way now lies open for you guys to enter. However, somebody yells out, "Oi! What's going on over there?" You glance over and see that somebody wearing a white foreman's helmet is pointing a disciplinary stick at you. He's across the way, a good distance away, but the falling chain seems to have attracted his notice as you guys are standing at the door to the old research lab.
Well, you said you wanted to, do some punching.
I don't know that we're ready for that. I don't think we want to punch a real person just yet. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is, you know what? I think the simplest way to deal with this, Ogre's just going to resist that.
Oh,
Result.
okay. Sure. So, at the last second, you're going to notice that the chain is going to pull its way out of what remains of these old, twisted, rusty iron doors. And you're going to kind of hold it in place so that the foreman continues beating the lazy workers and pays you no notice. In order to notice that, that will be insight.
Okay. So I take 2 stress.
Bummer. Not too bad, though.
Yeah. Not too bad.
We will tick the raised alarm clock back down to 0. So, with Ogre holding the chain in place, the twisted, rusty iron doors are just barely prevented from swinging open, but you can easily get inside and kind of push the chain if you want, or just fold it over, tie it up.
Okay, cool. Let's head inside then.
All right, I'll come in behind you.
Sure.
Okay. Are you guys looking for the ghost echoes of this place? Or are you looking at its current state? Yeah.
I think we're focused on the ghost echoes.
Okay. Have you seen Endgame?
Yes.
Okay. So, remember the research area that Tony Stark goes back to? With these kind of long rows, kind of a long, narrow building or room with these kind of tables and desks set up along it with chairs, etc. And then there's these kind of large cases with some of them are like heavily reinforced, like safes meant to hold things inside. Some are glass with like bottles and tubes so you can see if anything is leaking. There are chemicals in bottles. Of course, these are ghostly and kind of indistinct. And this, goes on in rows down the way. It's empty, but there's the detritus of research, along with scattered papers, pens and ink pots, and kind of big, large circular machines, maybe magnets, that must be used in their experiments.
And do we think we see any sign of bliss yet?
I said it was abandoned. You're looking around and it feels like there's... You just have this sense that people have just stepped away just a second ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ogre's gonna start looking around to see if he can find any ghosts that may be hiding or any trace of bliss.
Okay. You're going to look around and try and find a trace of bliss. Okay, those are two different questions. Are you going to try and find some traces of bliss, aka Faintree Kesserin, or are you going to try and seek out any ghostly presences that may be hanging out, hidden?
The latter. I'm going to be focused on looking for ghosts.
Okay. And how are you going to go about doing that?
I'm probably going to be using a tune, so
Okay.
opening up my mind to the ghosts that might be in the area and trying to be more sensitive to them in that regard.
Picking your way through the just moments ago ghostly image of an abandoned research lab. Go ahead and make an attune roll. For now, this will be controlled as you open up your senses to the spirit field and reach out with your mind. This will be controlled and the effect will be limited.
Oh, okay. I hate to ask, but Devil's Bargain?
Okay. The devil's bargain will be... succeed or fail, you find a ghost.
You know what? I'll take it.
All right.
Could end badly, but
Just punch it.
Oh my god. Ghost.
Who you gonna call?
So that actually raises your effect level to standard,
Awesome.
which is really good for you. Oh my gosh, you just got a crit, my friend. You just attuned and got a crit. You sense a presence. You hear a footstep, the shuffling of papers. In your mind's eye, you turn and look. There's someone there. A very pale man. He looks nervous. The folder he's opening shakes as if he has some kind of tremens in his hands. He regards whatever is in the file, purses his lips. He reaches out, and there's a dead bird on the desk. He reaches for it, picks it up, and with his thin white fingers kind of strains and pulls out a feather. Tossing the corpse back on the desk, he sits down, pares the end of the feather methodically with a quill knife, dips it into his ink, and scribbles something on a paper that looks familiar. Except the paper, like the man, is very pale, paler than you remember seeing it before, because it is a twin to the notebook paper that Suri has, although the one she carries is yellowed with age.
Yeah, that's officially the most badass way to get a pen.
Welcome to Blades in the Dark.
No kidding, jeez.
Even the nerd scientists are just like metal as fuck. You know, just in case I run out of pens, I keep dead bird on my desk.
The ghost stops in the middle of the page, as if he can feel you regarding him, and starts and looks up. Who's there? Suri, you hear the voice as well, and starting a little yourself, you see a pale mist coalescing near one of the abandoned desks. Just over it, kind of looming almost, are these two enormous metal discs, kind of that extrude out of some complex machine, probably generating electricity.
All right. I am going to step forward, and I think at this point I should probably attempt to attune with the ghost or talk to the ghost in some way. Now I still can't see his form. I can only see the mist that is possibly holding him.
Yes. Yes. Were he to manifest, you would have to deal with the supernatural fear that ghosts can emit, which is also the reason Ogre hasn't reacted to that yet as well. He's just kind of seeing an echo of a person.
Okay.
Yeah. Ogre will nod to Suri to indicate, this is him.
All right. I will step forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just real quick. Suri, you step forward, yes?
Yep. What were you going to say?
When she does so, still in your attuned state, Ogre, you sense the presence of the ghost kind of rewind, reset. Once again, the very pale, thin-fingered young man is looking at some papers inside of a folder. He purses his lips as he regards it, folds it, puts it down on the desk, picks up the dead bird, plays out the whole thing all over again, ending again with the start, looking up, and staring at you, or actually at Suri as she approaches, and saying, "Who's there?"
He seems to be caught in some kind of loop. He just did the same thing twice.
An echo. All right. I will take the slip of paper out of my pocket, and I will set it down on the ghost table and say, I think that this belongs to you.
Interesting. The mist, in your view, kind of coalesces and thickens. And this very pale young man reaches for the paper. He can't seem to grab it, though. He almost touches the page, his fingers hovering like this just above the letters. He says, "Where did you get that?"
I brought it back to you from many, many years after you've gone. I'm here to talk to you.
After I'm gone. You mean you took something from my desk after I left?
I mean that where I come from, your work in this life was completed many, many years ago. And you are now only a memory to me, although you are still very much alive here.
That makes no sense.
The mist, now visible fully as the man in the real world, starts and looks up from the folder.
Who's there? Who's there?
Okay. I am going to activate my ghost voice at this point, I guess. And I'm going to look at the ghost and say, I need you to focus. If there was ever someone who I thought was capable of keeping his mind sharp at such a time, it is you. I know how to find your friend, the courier.
The courier? What do you mean? Richard?
I do. I think that we both know that you have a particular...
He's
Yes?
always telling the courier things that I need to know. Did you know? Spirits can be contained by an electrical pulse. Did you know? They're keeping people, spirits, in a rail.
Go on.
Who's there? Who's there?
Okay, this is not who we thought it was, I don't think. I am going to pull out one of the spirit bottles I brought. And I am going to try and get this guy.
That's good, because I was just about to tell you that Ogre is starting to get visibly frustrated.
This is, Okay, I don't know who the fuck this person is, but I think that Lord Pendrin is definitely going to want to talk to him. So I'm going to try and get him in a bottle.
Okay, well that's going to be an action roll. That could turn south.
Yeah. All right.
What are you going to use to try and corral the spirit into the spirit bottle?
I say... I would like to try to use sway. And I'm going to say, that sounds like the kind of information that a lot of people would pay a lot of money for. If you're willing to come with me, I can take you to someone who would be very interested to hear your story.
Okay. Well, make your sway roll. I think you said you're using sway.
Yes.
This is going to be risky. And the effect will be limited.
Okay. Remember that I do have potency when I'm interacting with him.
Okay, so once you apply your ghost voice, your potency, that will raise the effect level to standard in this case.
All right. Devil's bargain.
The Devil's Bargain. All of this ghostly communication and attuning and disturbance of the ghost realm is going to bring another ghost out into this situation. Is the Devil's Bargain.
Well, on the one hand, this isn't the ghost we're looking for, and I do want another ghost to come out. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that the DM is going to be so polite as to bring out the ghost that I want to actually talk to.
This is a Devil's Bargain.
So I'm not going to take that, because we already are way too many ghosts deep.
Okay.
I am going to push myself in this situation.
All right.
Hello.
So you just got a crit.
Yeah.
Jeez. Right after the attunement crit.
That's fantastic.
This is now that we're like properly in the score. It's just sixes and crits as far as the eye can see. That's fine.
Ogre and Surrey make an
amazing.
awesome team.
They do apparently. Dredge would just slow you down. Okay, so that gives you effect great.
Oh, you mean like a transfer to another research opportunity? Oh, yes, please. I'm sick of being under Castellan's thumb. Let me just grab my things and we'll go.
Could you hear me?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I'll say, please hurry, I don't want him to catch us.
The pale man gathers a bunch of ghostly papers from his desk and folds them into his arms and puts them into like this oversized kind of stretchable folder, and like picks it up and hugs it to his chest, and he says,
That's all my research. That I'm allowed to take. Let's go.
and the mist kind of shrinks down and he just streams. This pale stream flows into the bottle, and you cork it as he finishes transferring inside, and then you have this reinforced glass bottle with this shifting prismatic ectoplasm inside.
All right, I'll stow that.
Bluish white.
And I'm going to pull out another bottle and just have it at the rip.
Okay. Mark that in your load. So you did not... Yes, you did not take the Devil's Bargain. Okay. So you've yeah. It is at this point that you hear a loud as the lunch whistle rings, or a break whistle for some of the workers on shift at the nearby factory. You can hear the machines never slow down or stop, but you can hear the tramp of some feet as some people go and transfer around. There's definitely going to be some people passing by the now unlocked or opened front door of this building.
Ogre, perhaps you should prop the door closed while we continue to look around in here.
Sure thing. Isn't that the guy we were looking for? He certainly seemed to fit the bill.
I don't think that it was. I think that he was Kesseran's assistant, maybe? Or somebody who worked closely with him and did not like him.
I don't know. He certainly seemed the type, the nerdy guy with he seemed to react to the notes, certainly. But anyways, I'll get the door.
But he said
not the note that has his handwriting on it. The note with the notes in the margins that had details about talking trash about Kesseran.
Right. Yeah, I remember. And he specifically said that he was tired of being under Kesseran's thumb.
Yes.
Which, if he is Kesseran, that's
Oh, I missed that part. I didn't quite understand that.
She's looking for Faintree Kesseran. She has a note that has some of Kesseran's handwriting on it, and also some notes in the margins of that same text, trash-talking Kesseran. This guy reacted to the page, and his fingers brushed over the writing. Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. It was just when he said that he was sick of being under the person's thumb, I didn't catch the name at that moment. So if that was Kesseran's name, then that, yeah.
Indeed.
Okay, then yeah, so Ogre is going to go and basically prop the door so that it looks like it's closed again. And try to get it so that it like you would have to notice that the chain was out of place rather than just having the door kind of be open.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of go push that closed and wrap it up. That's fine. All right. What next?
Well, if we're still looking for the ghost, I think at this point, Suri is going to attempt to use her training with the Path of Echoes in terms of exercising focus to concentrate on specific ghosts. The skill of standing in the middle of a room full of whispering bottles and focusing in a specific voice and trying to hear it. She's going to use the note to focus and try to block out the whispering of the other ghost from the margins, which she thinks might have obscured the signal, and focus in on the writing of Faintree Kesserin and see if she can get him to come back from wherever he was.
Okay. Go ahead. I guess that's going to be an attune roll.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Go ahead and make an attune roll. This will be controlled, and the effect will be 0.
Okay.
So you can trade position for effect. So you could go down to risky in order to make it limited. You could also push yourself in order to improve the effect, instead of getting extra dice.
I'll go to risky.
Okay. So you're really going to open up your mind to the plane of supernatural happenings, the spirit field.
Devil's bargain?
The devil's bargain. The devil's bargain will be the spirit you've just captured in a spirit bottle will whisper to you and interrupt you in this process with information.
That sounds amazing. I'll take it. Yay!
Okay.
So did you push yourself for effect as well? Because otherwise it would have been 0 to limited.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I selected the wrong thing.
Okay. So it's actually limited effect.
Limited effect.
Position risky, and you got a 5. 5 and 4, the most interesting result. Limited effect. Okay. The whispering that you hear threatens to overwhelm you as your mind, you're straining, you're pushing yourself past boundaries that you were taught to avoid. And as you open yourself up to whatever influences might occur, you're not quite yourself. Ogre, you watch as Suri pulls out the bottle she just filled with a glowing ectoplasmic spirit. And something dark coalesces just behind her, like her shadow pressing up out of the wall and taking on more solid form, almost like an embrace, but somehow very wrong. And as this chill spreads out from Suri, where these spirits are intensely emitting their power, manifesting and sucking out the heat. Suri, you are going to take a level 2 harm. Frostbite.
Oh.
And you're going to succeed as you do that, as that numbness spreads up in the intense cold that creeps along, frost beginning to form wherever her shadow touches her, Ogre. Suri, you get a momentary glimpse mentally of this writing. The hands that made it. The hands that wrote it. The hands of the enormous, cold-hearted Akarosi, who... the hands that leaned on a cane as the very tall, old genius walked about to and fro, barking orders at underlings. And as your inner eye pulls out, you're not noticing the shadow, your own shadow, fingers touching your fingers in this eerie embrace from behind. Your inner eye pulls back from those hands, and you realize they're in a box. A box far from here, hideously carven with these twisting lines and forms suggestive of faces and pained work done by some kind of insane woodworking master. The hands are in the box, and the spirit hovers within the hands. On a place far from here, you can sense its connection to the spot where you now stand, this research lab where those hands did their important work, where those hands slapped the young man whose spirit is now in the bottle, and who now speaks up. Saying,
Who's there? Who's there? Is that you? Professor Kesserin? I was working, sir. I wasn't sleeping. I'm working. I'm sorry, sir. No. It's... Who's there? Who's there? It's Gordite Brogan. Sir, is that you? Who's there? It's Gordite Brogan here. I'm working, sir. I'm working.
and your sense, as this voice breaks upon your consciousness, your sense of that box, very far away, very far indeed. Is your concentration is broken, and you look down and you're shivering. The tips of your fingers have turned black with cold. And Ogre, you're noticing her shadow is still there. Still trying to embrace her.
Okay. Well, Ogre's going to act as soon as he sees that shadow. He's going to activate Ghost Fighter, and he's going to try to use some manacles, and he's basically going to try to get it to stop embracing her and basically tie its hands behind its back.
Hang on, I just want to give her the chance to
Sure.
Resist any of those consequences or something if she wants to.
I'd like to resist the frostbite if I can.
Sure.
So is that prowess or resolve? Because it's
That's going to be
supernatural.
resolve. That's going to be resolve. It is your mental strength. Ooh, all right. Two stress, not too terrible.
Yeah.
Or rather, it is too terrible, but it's not too terrible.
Right.
Yes, it's certainly not for terrible.
It's not for terrible.
That would be worse. All right, so that takes it down to a level 1 harm? Because I resisted, or do I not take the harm? I forget how this works.
It's up to me. In this case, we're going to cut that down to a level 1 harm.
Frost nibbled.
It's just a level 1 frostbite. Hypothermia. There you go. But you're being embraced by this shadow that's emerged as you tried to force your way through some kind of barrier in the in the spirit field. And Ogre's leaping into action. So, Ghost Fighter.
Yeah.
Potency in combat. You're going to grapple Suri's shadow.
That's my plan.
All right. Or something that's emerged from her shadow.
I don't know what it is. I don't much care. I'm going to make sure that it stops hurting her.
All right. What action are you using?
I'm thinking skirmish.
All right, then. Skirmish. Well, obviously the touch of this being causes frostbite and an intense chill. I'm thinking this is going to be desperate.
Okay.
And the effect will be standard.
I assume that's
then-
taking into account Ghost Fighter, because otherwise it would be...
Yes, because otherwise it would be limited. There's not much
Yeah.
you could do against
That's what I figured.
against this ghost without specialized tools, unless you're a ghost fighter. All out of milk.
Indeed. Alright. Yeah, Devil's Bargain.
devil's bargain. This is the ghost of a former friend of Ogre's.
Ooh. You know what? I'll take it, because that's interesting.
All right.
That's interesting as hell.
That's bargain.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. The sixes, they have abandoned us.
Ogre, for just a second, you're staring. Yeah, that's quite a change. That's quite a different set of roles. For a second, as you watch something weird happening with Suri's shadow, and then this face, this black face, emerge from within it. And you recognize the face. Pi de Cour Claremont. Someone who came over with Ogre on the boat. He was a horrible plumber. Arrogant. But obsessed with demon lore. Now his and concern with his appearances. He was always trying to get girls, but now his face is twisted into this rictus of hate and feral anger and twisted rage. His teeth have become long points of shadow, and as it reaches out, there's these long, his fingers are long and pointed as well, and it absolutely freezes you in place for a moment with fear. And then you shake and you're like, I've got to help her. You rush forward with Ghost Fighter. The energy, I think you've described it as red energy on your hands?
Yes.
Red energy on your hands as you come to grips with the thing. But then it burns with cold. And this enraged figure has barely... it hasn't made a sound up until now, but it looks at you and you recognize that face. He was a drinking buddy on the boat. And he's grinning, and it all seems to happen in slow motion as you come rushing in, and the shadow creature is turning toward you. And he says... You feel this absolute numbness spreading out from your chest, and you look down and you see the shadowed hand has sunk its long pointed fingers directly into your chest, and the deadness spreads through you. Your heart stops, frozen, as the blood inside of it freezes. This is a level 4 lethal harm.
All right. Well, first up, I'm wearing some armor,
All right.
so it doesn't quite get to my heart, hopefully.
You're prepared for this.
And second, I am definitely going to be resisting that harm as well.
All right. Okay. Well, resisting. Interesting. You did take the devil's bargain. And he did arrest your attention by saying your name in his horrible shadow voice, like an echo, a twisted shadow of the drinking buddy you once knew. Claremont. So instead of prowess resist, I think we're gonna have to make this insight resist.
Insight, not resolve?
Okay, resolve.
Alright, that's 2 more stress, and that puts me 1 stress away from getting my next trauma.
Knowing that you were coming to deal with the supernatural, you put on what would Ogre be wearing that would protect him in this instance? What is his armor, or is his armor not that?
Yeah, so his armor, he's basically wearing, like, this is not super heavy armor, so this is like kind of or this is like boiled leather kind of stuff, and probably it's got some very basic like runic markings on it that would supposedly try to help against the supernatural. Whether they actually do or not is debatable, because Dredge probably made them, but that's kind of the idea behind them. He might also have some extra padded layers for his vital areas, like his chest.
Well, at least it seems to slow the shadow of Claremont down. As the long, pointed shadow fingers clutch into your chest, you feel your heart, you feel this numbness spreading, and you feel your heart almost stop, but it just slows. And your determination to come to grips with this thing reduces the harm down. So it will only be a level 2 harm of... we'll call this one hypothermia. All right. Suri, you are in the situation as well. Something has emerged from your shadow as you were in that other place. You were just interrupted by the voice. The thing has its like claws basically latched into Ogre's kind of armored clothing, ruining it, trying to force its way deeper in. That was a fail. I'm going to tick the Suri's Shadow clock again. So you can do something as well if you want. Suri or Ogre, you can spring into action if you would like. But the shadow it's trying to force its claws deeper into you, and it's trying to pull farther out of Suri's shadow as it's kind of like this torso has emerged from her shadow. Her shadow's torso. It's trying to fully emerge out.
Sir, you have anything you want to do?
Yeah, I guess I can try to help you. I was waiting to see if you wanted.
Yeah, I mean,
to do anything.
I'm happy to keep going, but
All right. I'm gonna try and help you out. So I brought an unusual weapon with me. Yes. I brought something that looks like a cattle prod, but instead of shooting regular electricity, it is something that is designed to help to shock ectoplasm.
Is this in the book?
No, I'm making it up.
As far as equipment goes... okay. So we're gonna flashback so that you can get this thing.
Yeah.
Alright. Nice. A ghost prod.
I definitely like that idea.
Let's see if Suri is going to grab it. So, flashback to where? Where would Suri go to acquire this thing?
She would go to her fence and try to see if she could be a customer instead of a...
Is her fence different from the crew's
No.
fence?
No, our fence. Yeah.
Okay. And that's Mr. Raven, isn't it? No.
No, it is Vupant Dunville.
Oh, Vupant Dunville. Yeah, Mr. Raven is your patron.
Yes.
Yeah,
To help
different.
fund you. Okay. So our camera jumps back to a flashback. Suri, not too far away from here, in the night market, speaking to the calm Akarosi Vupant Dunville, who's kind of idly picking through a few weird and occult items, skulls and twisted pieces of jade on a desk behind a store, behind a street on in the eerily lit night market. Hang on, does normal armor work against ghosts, or do you need like a spirit bane thing?
I mean, a Spirit Bane charm is an inherent thing that you can always take. It's 0 load. So if you want to say that that's required, that's fine.
Okay.
I was just kind of operating under the assumption you can always use armor to mitigate a harm. But if that's not
probably
true, then...
Alright, I'm not going to worry about it right now.
Okay.
Vupant. Okay, let's see. So, how are you going to try and convince Vupant to loan you his ghost prod?
Well, I'm going to tell him, look, we are going to be going into a place where people have not been for a very long time. A place where a number of some of the most powerful artifacts in this world were invented. I can't promise that I'll come back with anything directly, but I would be shocked if I didn't come back with a great deal of information that you couldn't get anyplace else about a number of things that could earn you quite a lot of coin. And, as always, we are willing to help you acquire such items.
Vupant smiles in the multicolored lights of the night market just outside his hidden shop. Information, eh? So go ahead and make an action roll to try and convince him. You can spend coin, of course, on this to raise the effect. What skill are you trying to utilize here? What
This is
action
definitely
take?
sway.
Okay, so make a sway roll. This will be controlled. And the effect will be standard because he is your loyal fence.
Excellent. Okay. Devil's bargain?
He wants something specific for information in exchange.
Ah, there you go. Anyone can offer a devil's bargain, so there you go.
I'll try it. I mean, he wants something. That doesn't mean that he has to get it.
Okay.
But it may mean consequences if he doesn't.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the thing is, so I'm not making any promises, but I'm certainly willing to hear what he wants. I'll take it.
Okay. So that's the devil's bargain then.
All right, then.
So make your roll.
Hello.
A 6. Vupant says, well, what kind of place are you going to? What kind of information can I get?
The past.
That's a pretty broad swath then. Excellent. He says, in that case, I'm looking for stuff from the Silver Fire, the cult of the Silver Fire. I'd love to get my hands on the original holy writings of the Prophet, or at least some information about them. And he pulls open a drawer and holds up a paper with this kind of Masonic symbol on it. You would call it Masonic, not Suri. But, with these very precise, intricate lines all intersecting, and this kind of, compass point symbol in the middle. And he says, they are a cult of a forgotten power, and as far as I know, aren't around anymore. Their prophet, long gone. But his original holy writings, more information about them. would certainly be worth a lot to me. Find that, and I'll consider us even. And he reaches into his umbrella stand and pulls out this pole, which he now hands to you. Just push that button and stick the other end to whatever spirit is bothering you, and watch your troubles melt away, he says. And now our camera pulls back, boom, jumping back to this moment, this desperate battle with the shadow that has emerged, the shadow of Ogre's old drinking buddy, Claremont. One hand buried in Ogre's chest, the other, reaching for Suri, having touched her fingertips and given her frostbite, and trying to also emerge fully from her shadow. The pole in your hand that you acquired from Vupont Dunville crackles with electric energy at one end as you push the button.
All right, I ram it right into the ghost.
Okay, so you're going to be making a skirmish roll. Unless you're trying to do this in some other way. You said you ram it in.
Yeah.
Sounds like skirmish.
I'm afraid so.
Okay. Now, I forget how tiers work with weapons.
It just affects the effect of the roll. Your tier is
Right.
your crew level, and then you just compare that against the tier of the enemy.
But this is an acquired asset. This is a borrowed item, and the tier is quite a bit, quite useful, in fact. Suri, you didn't state ahead of time, but this would be a tier 2 weapon.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I had to state that.
I forgot to ask you. So that will raise the effect. Quite nicely. All right. So I know you're trying to ram it into him. What is the outcome you are hoping for?
I mean, I'd like to do as much damage as possible to the ghost. I'm not sure that I can, it's a cattle prod. It's meant to,
You're trying to destroy this ghost.
I would like to, but I would be satisfied with just, distracting and hurting it long enough to get it to let go of either or both of us.
Okay. I don't understand what that means. Your aim is to destroy the ghost. That is your goal.
Yes,
Okay.
My goal is to destroy the ghost.
All right, you're just going to try to lightning it out of existence.
Yep.
With your ghost prod. We'll see how that goes.
All right. So, did I get position from you? I didn't hear you say.
I don't think I said. This is desperate. It's absolutely has to be.
Alrighty.
And the effect will be standard.
Devil's bargain.
Another devil's bargain. This ghost, the devil's bargain is this spirit was sent here was following in your shadow since the beginning of the score, and was sicked on you by someone else controlling it.
Well, that seems interesting. All right, I'll take that.
Okay.
And it's a good thing I did.
Holy crap. Well done. Well done.
Oh, close one. All right. When was the last time you made a desperate skirmish roll, Suri?
I think this is like my second skirmish.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you're not going to be able to kill it. But you can send this ghost packing. You jam that sucker in there, pushing the button. There's a loud snap and crackle. The shadow thing reels, shrieking, ripping its claws out of both of you, and kind of writhing in Suri's real shadow. Back and forth, the sound bouncing off of the walls in here and vibrating in your teeth and your bones and your soul as well. It's a sound of pure feral pain. It's a sound of desperate horror and rage and absolute terror of the ghost prod that is just jamming into its shadowy middle. The crackling electrical energy is going to spit through the smoke in kind of these sparks and flashes. And the thing kind of, as it, with each jab, it kind of rises and then just shrinks down and kind of goes into your shadow and then oozes away as you continue to jab at it. And as it flows like a black ooze over the desks and walls and out this crack between the floorboards, it just lets out a last desperate
Go back to hell, Claremont.
Suri is going to look at Ogre and say, "You really should run it by the rest of us before you invite friends along."
I wish I knew he was here. Would have changed my strategy a bit.
All right, so now that I know that all this is happening, I say, well, I don't know much more except that the ghost that we're looking for is not here. I have some clues, but I think that we should look around and pick up anything of use and then go. I have some specific things I'd like to look for. I'm not sure that they'll even be here, but it shouldn't take more than a few minutes.
All right, sounds like a good plan.
Due to your Devil's Bargain, Suri,
Yeah.
Ogre, the pieces are falling into place in your mind. That damn guy known as Hoarfrost. He must have hired the Dimmer sisters to do this. That's the only two connection points you can think of that could have slipped a ghost into Suri's shadow, and not just any ghost, but one from your past.
Mm-hmm. Looks like our enemies are starting to work together against us.
Well, it was only a matter of time. Almost everybody hates us here.
Well, I think it's about time for us to start hitting back.
That is a problem for tomorrow. Our problem for right now is to try and find anything from the cult of the... what is it? Silver Flame? Little pointy sign.
I'll keep an eye out, but this doesn't seem like the place.
If there's one thing that I've learned in my time in Duskull, it's that you never know who's in a cult.
Fair enough.
So I'm just gonna...
Especially coming from you.
We'll address that later. And I'm going to look around, kind of like rifle through the papers on the desk. Not necessarily... Yeah, I'm just looking around to see if I can quickly find any signs of that symbol or any papers that might have mention of it. This is not necessarily the best place to go looking, but might as well since I'm here.
Point of clarification. Did you told Vupant Dunville you were coming here, right?
Yeah, I did.
Or did you literally just say the past?
No, I didn't. No, I told him where I was going and roughly what I was doing, although leaving out the specifics, because he doesn't.
Okay. Yes. On Gornai Brogan's desk, which you're standing right next to. There is a stamped like note card with a similar almost Masonic like symbol, except with like a flame in the middle.
Alright, can I retrieve it?
You certainly can.
I shall do so.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it has any information on it. Specifically what he was asking for. That would probably be too much to hope for.
Well, it's a thing, and it might lead us to another thing, so I'll take it anyway.
Okay. Write that down. Okay. Are you guys going to do anything else, or are you going to slip out of here?
I think with that, we're ready to slip out.
All right. You won't have too much trouble getting out. Mostly people are going to bother you for trying to get in to this area. So you're going to be able to get out without any more trouble. Congratulations on a successful score.
Hooray!
Hooray! That was painful at the end.
It suddenly took a turn when Suri tried to attune to the writings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't my favorite.
But you were in a place that also had a connection to the ghost, which is why it worked.
Indeed.
All right. And now you have a source of information in Gornai Brogan. Um. Now he is going to know a little bit of secret information that is not related to anything you guys care about on a personal level, because we'll do that later. You're going to interrogate him, I assume.
Yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Or were you... Remind me, were you going to just go and sell him?
No, we're probably I'm gonna probably try to talk to him and figure out a little bit more about him, and I'm going to take him to Lord Penderin and explain what I have. But the conversation is almost certainly not just going to be here's a ghost.
All right, let's do the payoff and finish up this session.
Yeah, but we definitely will talk to him first, and if he has information that is not of personal value to us, maybe it'll be of value to my extortionist friend.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a conversation and etc. So we'll do that next time.
Okay.
So in that case, I won't be giving you coin for that now. But you can get coin for it later.
Okay.
Okay. So this was actually against a tier lower than you guys. This was against you got +1 dice in the engagement roll. So this excuse me. So you are actually going to... This is a tier 0 target. No armed guards for once. And really, the only problems that emerged from you guys. So you are going to get 1 rep.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do coin later, so you're not going to have to pay a tithe. Heat. Damn, the heat was pretty low. Pretty smooth and quiet.
I mean, people will eventually know that we were there because of the broken chain.
That is true. And Vupont Dunville.
Yeah.
Oh! Lionation! Hi there! We are just finishing up the session. Sorry, bro. Let's see. It is midnight here, after all. Okay. I guess that'll just be 1 heat. The only... Yeah, 1 heat. Very, very low heat.
We're not wanted level 2.
I mean, yeah, this could hardly have gone better.
You guys have been... Aren't you, like, right on the edge of level 2? Wanted
Yes.
Level 2? Wow.
We are 1 away now. Surrey's
Oh, man.
heat reduction roll made the difference.
Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. Should we do entanglements? Let's do entanglements now. Who's gonna roll for entanglements?
Alright, Kate rolled for the engagement, so I'll roll for entanglements.
What's your heat level?
7. Or sorry, 8.
Oh boy. One of you is going to get the blend treatment.
Oh God.
Flipped or interrogation next time. Which means you could lose, like, that's what happened with Niall. You could lose Vupont Dunville. He's pretty loyal, but still, it could happen.
Well, he's not a contact. He's actually like a piece of turf for us.
Okay, but it covers patrons, it covers clients. You can get turf,
Okay.
You can lose turf and get it back.
Okay, I'm not sure if it's treated
Turf?
differently. Like if that says specifically contacts versus claims. He's a claim. That's what I meant. It's the same way that turf is a claim.
I understand.
Okay.
And he's very beneficial to you.
Yes.
But he's like anything's up for grabs. Turf is you guys don't have a strong hold, right? You have a weak hold.
We do have a stronghold.
Oh, you have a strong hold.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, probably won't be him then. Probably. But something's gonna happen next time. Flipped or interrogation. Oh boy. Okay. Let's do experience. So, Suri, let's do you first.
Alrighty. Alright, so you addressed a challenge with deception or influence. Definitely, that's all I did. As you.
Deception or influence. You influenced people left and right, didn't you?
I really did.
We didn't use your eyes at all. I was expecting you to ask me what Vupont Dunville's greatest weakness is.
Oh well.
Anyway, could have given you potency in that situation. But, anyway, take 2 for that.
You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing this mission because of a belief in a drive. In your cult.
Well, now, is that expressing my beliefs, drives, heritage, or is that struggling with issues from my vice?
You didn't really. It's not like your I don't recall your trauma ever occurring, and
No.
Doing a score isn't struggling with an issue from your vice.
Okay. All right. Well, then, I'm doing this whole score for that reason. So that's definitely a point.
So it's a belief for a drive. Absolutely, take 1 for that.
And struggling with issues from my vice or traumas, I don't really think that happened this time.
Not this time. Okay, Ogre.
Addressed a challenge with violence or coercion. This was definitely not Ogre's most violent session, but he did charge the ghost.
Oh man!
As soon as he saw that it was hurting.
All right, we'll give you 1. We'll give you 1 for that.
Yeah. And then you expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I don't think much of that really came up yet. Or he didn't really get much of an opportunity to respond to the ghost being his friend. I feel like we might explore that a little bit more next session.
Indeed.
But not anything there yet. And then struggled with issues from his vice or traumas. He's been getting better about managing his rage, so I don't think I got anything for that either.
All right then. Let's do the crew.
All right. Execute a successful espionage, sabotage, or theft operation.
Successful theft.
All right. Contend with challenges above your current station. Definitely not.
No.
Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one.
That was pretty weird, I guess. I don't know. That was fairly weird. Doing the reasons behind the score were weird, and then going to a place and just doing shit.
And as far as our reputation, I mean, Surrey did tell Vipont Dunville that we were going to the past.
True. All right, so take one for that.
Express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. Solving weird problems in weird ways.
That's more like reputation,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't know. I didn't really notice any like essential nature of rare imports. Really.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, Kate?
I would agree with that. I mean, you know, this was a lot more my personal mission, which didn't really have a whole lot to do with any of the goals.
All right.
You know, a lot of our signature moves didn't really get pulled off, unless you want to count, traveling by ghost passages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just using an ability at this point. And
Yeah. All right. I think that it could bolster your crew's reputation a little bit, though, to do that. But yeah, I think that's pretty solid. All right, guys. Thank you for playing. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Kate. You guys are amazing, awesome players.
it was a lot of fun. Thanks for running it.
Absolutely. And thank you to Grimslag for hanging out almost the whole stream. Thank you to Man with No Screen Name, also hanging out for a long time. Thank you to my brother Lionation for popping in, saying he's late and leaving. I tease you, Leo. I tease you. And thank you to anyone who watches this later on. I will be back on this stream tomorrow night for a D&D game late tomorrow night. And yeah, more to come. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.